Another hair clip.
Good lord. Are we on?
I think so. Then now we're
Oh,
definitely on.
oh,
Like we go on, and then 3 seconds later it
yeah.
goes live. But I don't know if those 3 seconds are just
I
like.
just found a hair clip from like last year, like on my sweatshirt.
When was the last time
Um,
you wore that?
yeah, I mean, probably when it was warmer out because it's like a thin sweatshirt, but
Nice.
it's funny. And I have another, here's another one that was on my shirt sleeve, so you can see my system.
So good to have. We're going to talk about systems.
Mm.
Ah, well, I'm recovering from a week of working a lot and being 57 and working to get back into better health and going to see an incredible show at the Burlington Jazz Festival and doing my radio show yesterday, which was really really fun. And I've been like, yeah, I'm in a non-trauma place. Like, it feels good. I had a new client, and it was awesome because she got to feel what the work is about. Um, yeah, like in it, she came because she has had lots and lots of nightmares, like constant nightmares. And then guess what? All of a sudden, she says yes to the dream work, and she had a dream where she's pulling out a cyst out of
Mm.
her leg and feels this great relief. And then had a dream where she was having this very like lovely romantic thing in a
Mm.
room full of puppies.
Mm.
Not a nightmare.
Yeah.
It was really
Yeah.
like, it's just like, I just feel this thing about how the dreams hold our psyche in this way. It's
Mm.
just like, it's so amazing and such a loving container is what it
Mm-hmm.
just feels like to me right now.
Mm.
And my dream, I think we talked about it last week, but it's,
Well, can I just say one
sorry.
thing? It's a loving
Go ahead.
container always. Like, it's not like just, I just want to be really clear. Like, it's always a loving container no matter what dream,
Right.
what the dream narrative is. So, like,
Right.
it's a loving container even when the dreams
Right.
are scary
Mm-hmm.
and when they're puppies. It's
Yeah,
like,
right. I mean, it's the dream is coming like to balance. Like, so she also had a few really like very big trauma history and a lot of nightmares, understandably related to that. I guess what I'm saying, it's not like this is not the cure, but it's like the big picture of the healing. Like, it's not just trauma. Even if we feel like it is trauma. Like I had a week, 10 days where I was just in bloody trauma, and I didn't feel the container of love, but I knew it was there a little bit, and now I am mostly just feeling that, and I'm still revved up, and I'm still distracted, and I'm still anxious, and I'm still a little bit immobilized around different things, and
just
no,
another thing just in general about this work and the way it works, or the dreams, is I feel in that example, because it's such a great and clear example, which is cool, is like, because very often, I mean, it's like one of the most, probably the most common thing that people say to me when they find out I work with people in dreams, is they say, I hate dreaming because I only have nightmares,
yeah,
and the thing about, you know like coming in with with a scary dream, or with a nightmare, is, and starting to do this archetypal dream work, is like, it can really inspire an immediate shift, because the what is kind of needed and being asked is like to face into,
right,
and not run away, to face into the vibration, the feeling, the somatic experience of the scary dream. So when we do that, it's like, oh, then it opens up room for
and
puppies.
absolutely, and I think at least this is what I'm feeling right now is that part of it is being able to bring out the dream from the subconscious to the conscious and share it. Right. I think that's a piece too. Like, we don't really, in our culture, for the most part, look into dreams, and so even, I don't think my client would have noticed this other dream. It wouldn't have affected her but by bringing it here and allowing it to have space, like we talk about remembering and receiving those places in the dream, like that was was a place that it feels like in some ways, and I'm not saying it always has to be this way, but like to be able to do that in communion and relationship.
Yes, absolutely. The sacredness of the container, like, it's huge. I mean, it's for me. And when I started doing this work when I was 20, I didn't know, like, I would walk into the office of my therapist and I would not even remember barely what happened. Like, I couldn't have told anyone what happened, but I remember.
In the dream or in
no,
just in your week?
In life. Yeah. I couldn't have said, like, oh, this, whatever. Like, I couldn't even recall inside myself except I remembered how met I felt. And I knew that there was that was everything to me in the beginning, was like just having someone who was speaking my dream out loud. It was just so much. It was so helpful. And then I was able to come, eventually, like, come back and remember and, and be that more in my body and stuff like that. And so, yeah, for sure,
Right. I like something just new that I'm feeling is how, and this may feel kind of obvious, but how, like, trauma healing is really, it's relational. Like, it needs relationship. It needs being able to reach out. It needs being able to witness. Like, I had this wonderful dream with this dear friend of mine, and in the dream, she and I are sort of at the bottom of this big mountain hill place, and we are going up. Like, I know at the top of the hill is this guy who we're both kind of dissed by in college and kind of think is a guy with a lot of hubris and is kind of an asshole. And I texted my friend and was like, you're in my dream, and she's like, and she wrote analyze ? Because she knows I work with dreams, and it helped me kind of feel into the dream in the sense of kind of relationship with her, which part of it is like the guy up on the top of the hill is my projection of my own hubris, and here I am down here with her, and she's a friend who is able to just be with me without trying to help me feel better, like is able to just hold. It's one of those friends who's like, I got you, like there's we can't get somebody to not feel their trauma, but we can be with them in it. And so it felt like that relational piece of it's like, it isn't just the anima. It isn't just in my subconscious where I'm just doing the work internally. There is something to me very much about like the horizontal outer world conscious connections that we have with others. And I think, and also the dream work really helps us fine tune about how to be in relationship with others, with ourselves, how to be in relationship with ourselves, and how to be in relationship with others. Like the dreams so often identify problematic relationships with the other person, or things that are missing in relationship with the other person, or even like a better understanding of somebody. We have some kind of connection with a relationship of like who they actually are to you in your psyche, not necessarily who they are as a person, but who they are to you, and whether that's a healthy relationship to be in, or to continue, or to like recognize what it brings up in you that may be a reason to not continue the connection.
Well, what I was gonna, I mean, the thing, one of the main main things, top 3, I don't know, anyway, it doesn't matter, the We Love lists, don't we? In 5 minutes or less.
Top 3 things to do in 5 minutes that will
change your life forever and heal everything is discernment. To me, what you're talking about is like, and I feel it so much, and it's always changing, which is so cool, right? Like everything's deepening, it's like all the different levels, but it's like, for me, my dreams help if I have a dream of like a certain person I'm having like great difficulty with, and then I get to see them who are like currently in my waking life. It's like so interesting because for me, it makes that space. It creates that space where when I'm with them, by this point, I'm not confusing them with the dream.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I understand that the dreams, the archetypes brought them, like that story was brought to me for a reason. It's something about me,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes it so I can be with the person in waking life in a different way. And I
Mm-hmm.
have so much curiosity about myself, and then I can have curiosity about them.
Mm-hmm.
And then it has helped me soften and open to difficult people, and it has helped me really feel and not just acknowledge but honor the 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 relationships I've had that feel not healthy
Mm-hmm.
and not like good or helpful in any way, and that are really kind of maybe perpetuating like these negative patterns, or very unsupportive, so it's so
Yeah.
it's so cool. Like that's what I'm in right now, is big
Yeah.
time, like just
It's so
honing.
it's so interesting to me as you say that. Like in some ways we need other people to perpetuate our old cycles, and we need people to break this, and to break the cycles also. And part of it, like you said, comes down to one of the wonderful things that the dream does, which helps around understanding projection and helps to increase discernment. But it is amazing. It is amazing that our trauma world is really mirrored by the outside world, including our relationships that keep those cycles going. They just do. And then when you break them, like there's a lot of interpersonal change.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah.
And life situation changes also that can happen. But like it's so interpersonal, intersocial. It's so much a part of that. I'm struck by what's interesting to me in relation to this with my dream is that my animus is Edward Norton, who he's like one of those guys that kind of like, I want to tell everybody how much I dislike.
Yeah, you
dislike him.
For me, it's like when I say I want to punch someone in the face,
Yeah.
like I never would, and that's so shocking for me to
Right.
say because I'm like
Right.
so not that, but it's like where it's so rare. And
Like
I'm
I just
"Oh."
like I get sort of like in my body when I think of him. I'm like, ugh, and yet he is the animus who in my dream, it's to feel myself as like a little one, a young me in the car with him driving in this place that I'm scared and don't think we can drive anymore. And it just the energy, the feeling, the connection that I have to this character of Ed Norton shifts a lot. And even as I'm feeling it now, like working it, there's some way that I think it's a reflection of my own healing, of my own hubris, where like I'm seeing him as sort of this open-hearted, loving person I can count on and depend on. And a huge place of protector energy for me was needing to know or be right or be smart. Everyone's like, you're so smart, and I'd be like, of course I'm smart. In fact, you don't even understand how smart I am, because I'm twice as smart as most living human beings. And like that whole hubris thing, and so that like intellectualism that I held as like a place to separate all the fear, right? It's like that is transforming, right? So like it's not like I'm losing my intelligence or my wisdom or insight. It's just moving from the egoic perspective that I have onto like the definition of myself as a smart person, because there's all these other things that I don't like about myself. And now all of a sudden there's a transmutation into that being like loving. And in fact, I feel like, and this may sound like egotistical, but I feel like the wisdom or whatever that I've been blessed with, I'm able to use that in like a heartfelt way of sharing, rather than, oh, I know what's going on with this person or that person.
Right. Well, as you're talking about that, what is so clear to me, and it's like slashes me, like, is that place of like, I am an intelligent person or whatever. It's like how that hubris has separated you from people so much. So you're on top of the mountain, and Ben and his friend is at the bottom of the mountain, and and it's just like, so just like what you're saying about it, like being relational and like it's how that it just strikes me so profoundly, or so physically almost, how it's like kept you apart.
We loved this guy. I mean, my friend is Mary, I'll just say that because I feel like I can, and she's a dear friend of mine from UVM, and I think she and I both loved this guy. Like, we loved him, not in any kind of romantic way, but we're like, there was some way that his vulnerability was able to kind of seep through for a while, and then he just kind of shut it down. And I think that's part of it. Like, Mary and I are down here, he's up on the mountain.
Yeah.
If he came down to us, he would have a different experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, totally.
And that's what I feel like, be interesting to reach out to Ed Norton and see if he's noticed a shift in his psyche in the last few weeks since he's been in my dream. But it's just great because now, instead of me judging that hubris self, I'm like, what does it have to offer? What does the wisdom have to offer that is much more like, let's see what happens when we go down this road. I'm going to keep you safe. Like, you're going to, you're not going to be frozen. I mean, one of the things I talked about in my session related to this is how frozen I was as a little kid. And the great example of it is that we had this camp cabin place to live up on Guyette Road on Maple Hill in Plainfield, Vermont, although technically in Marshfield. And we had 10 acres of land. And I felt so constricted and contracted in this cabin, like I just felt pressure all the time. And I think your typical kid, without the level of trauma that I had, would have mentioned the road, like like I remember a friend of mine slept over once, and I woke up and they weren't there, and they came back, and I was like, what were you doing? And they were like, I was just walking, was walking through the woods for like the last time. I was like, like I literally didn't stray more than 15 feet from this cabin. And it's just remarkable how immobilized I was. And so with this dream where Ed Norton, we're going to keep driving into the farm, like in the dream, it's like I'm driving and we come to this part of the road that we can't go any further in. It's like that class 4 road in Vermont thing people may understand. Like, I'm going to explore this road. And just, it keeps getting narrower and narrower and narrower. And then all of a sudden, even though the GPS may say the road keeps going, it's like it's just done. You're done. It's like a class 4 that hasn't been, it used to be a road in like 1890 or something like that. So I'm like, I am a child who's like ready to explore with this other guy driving. It's like, and that guy is the guy I projected my hubris on. Like, there's just so many layers and levels of it. It's really extraordinary. And the dream was really funny because in the dream, I reached the dead end, and so what I do is I pick the car up and I put it under my arm and walk the other direction, which is such like the hubris thing.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot that.
Yeah,
part.
So that's such the hubris thing. Like, I'll just carry the car.
Right. Yes.
In the other direction. It's like.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Like hubris.
Car being classically independent.
Well,
also.
and it's just exactly, and just like how expansive the fucking ego gets to this point of like domination of the soul in a way. Like you can do anything. Like you can pick up a car and put it under your arm, or you can be Donald Trump and pretend that you're invited to Game 3 of the Knicks and everyone's going to love you there when that's just not true. So, yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry, Donald Trump, that everyone loves the Knicks so much, and that's reflecting your inability to be loved.
I don't know what you're talking about, but it's okay.
So Donald Trump he got invited to Game 3 of the Knicks. He claims to be invited to Game 3 of the Knicks. Well, I don't know. The Knicks owner is a real kind of Republican, narcissistic fuck as well, so it's possible. But he's talking about how he's been such a Knicks fan. Like the Knicks are beloved. Like if
Yes.
people
Yeah.
like
yeah.
you go to New York, crime is the lowest it's been
Mm.
over the last 6 months ever in
Mm.
New York,
Mm.
and people are in their fucking joy and delight, and then all of a
Mm.
sudden he like has to make himself a part of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh.
Yeah.
The pain.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like the agonized heart.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Woof.
Woof.
I was walking here / running, and this is usually how we start the podcast. But it feels related.
Amy's tail down the mountain.
No, it feels related to what you have been saying, and what you just said about the ego or something before the next stuff. But I don't know why, but I was just like smelling. It's just like right now because it's raining so much and it's not freezing cold. Oh, thank God. And I was just smelling all the smells are just so incredible. And I'm noticing now I'm being able to identify some that I'd never really could identify, and like there's this Queen Anne's lace smell, and there's a lot of Queen Anne's lace right now, or maybe it's the other stuff that looks like Queen Anne's lace but is actually poisonous. I don't really know. Whatever it is, it's beautiful, and it has this very particular smell, and like the Dame's Rocket is all out, and and that has a different smell, and and I was just like really like I've been just noticing it on the way here, and like I just felt like kind of this ecstasy feeling, and just I'm noticing all these things, like with my eyes, my eyes and my nose especially, noticing things, and I just started to I had this awareness like within 2 seconds of how messed up our trauma and our ego when our ego comes in, however that happens. I don't whenever we start to like get that part of our brain starts to kick in or whatever, but trauma also then exacerbates on top of this, how it just really clouds our view like so dramatically, because there's so many. I was just remembering like kids come up with like just handfuls of dandelions they've picked, and they come up to like people they love and they give them dandelions, and as adults we're like, oh, that's so cute, they're dandelions. I mean, they're weeds, they're giving us a bouquet of weeds, that's so charming. But like to a kid, they're beautiful flowers. Like if there's not one is not better than the other, like how our brain just starts to like put a hierarchy into everything, and art is already like separating into good and bad and better and best and good and blah number 1 2 3, and it goes down the line with everything, and how I was just feeling like it's kind of devastating and silly, like it's so silly. And it's like I just also thought of in session when I have dreams that I bring dreams where I'm a boy or a girl, and then my therapist is like, well, what's it like to be, and I'm like, I don't have any words for it because I am just in the experience, and there are no, that is it. Like I am in the experience, and the minute I start to try to describe the experience, I am separate and I am describing the experience, and it's just like I can feel the disservice of that, and it's kind of like funny, and I just was feeling inside myself this like running full speed with my arms full of like just like the tall how some varieties of grass grow really tall, and there'll be like these little tufts in yards of like the tall grass, and I love these like tall grass, like I'm sure, I don't know if it's rye or whatever it is, I don't know what it is. And the thing is, I don't care. I don't need to know the name of it. It's the taller grass, and I love it. And I just want to like, it's like, so I want to have just vases of it all around or whatever, or I just really love it, and that it just feels, it feels painful. Like, and I just have this, I'm holding this awareness of that place of split, I guess, and how the brain then constantly, and that goes back to the projection and reaction and Edward Norton and the, and the, just any projection and reaction that's happening all the time, all day, where it's only separating us, and how we believe the story so much it becomes like
Fact.
a part of our own. It can become a part of our own. I have an example, and this, I wanted to talk about the golden shadow, and this is more the opposite. This is what we've been talking about, but I was listening to an interview with Nicolas Cage yesterday, because I was like, I don't think I've ever heard him interviewed, and he's like not my thing generally. I don't, I don't like him, but I would say, and have said in the past, I hate him, or like, I'm sure I've said stronger things, like just like, not that saying he's a horrible person, but as an actor, I don't like his movies, and I've done the thing where you throw out the baby with the bathwater or what, and I was like, I'm sure I think my mouth was open the whole interview. I was like, what is happening? I have just had a negative projection onto Nicolas Cage for my whole life. Obviously, he's a famous person. I don't know him. I mean, and he is like very persona. He, also like he plays that. He's played up that projection. And so I can't tell, and I don't know. But the thing is, so I listened to this whole interview, and I was like, wow, like he's really just not for me. But what a cool guy! Like that's so interesting, and he. Like I think he's like a true artist. That's so cool. Like I just had a whole different view, and I was like, oh, like it just was so, I felt so much spaciousness, and also I was just like, it was this revelatory moment for myself, a real learning moment, because I was like, felt the pain of what my story that I had developed, and I know this is a famous person, but we do this with people in our lives. We do this with the people who gets us our coffee every day. We do this with, the people we pass on the street. We do this with the person who's, our neighbor who we see just getting into their car as they go to work, or people who are walking their dogs. I mean, and we don't really have full conversations with them, and just, if you watch your brain, it will form an entire, very judgmental, usually, story around a whole person based on one little thing that we see. And it's incredible. It's so incredible. And it's for me, not even to judge that thing, I'm just saying for myself, I would like to experience life without that. I'm really curious. I really want to heal the deeper parts of me that are, that are that are just doing that and continually doing that. And it is compulsive at this, it's very compulsive, that kind of a thing. Like it happens, we're not consciously thinking of it.
Right, we're just doing
it. It creates itself. It's like, if you have any meditative practice and you've witnessed your mind, it's like, wow, that went really far out really fast, like with a lot of words and stories and scenarios. And so it's not that I'm blaming myself, or it's just like I'm in wonder about it, and I'm like very open to, living a different way. And like part of that for me is like bringing a lot of love, like is allowing, as I'm realizing, having these realizations and these moments of clarity around, like projecting onto, this is ridiculous, projecting onto Nicolas Cage or Edward Norton, or who, or the woman who walks the dog and tells me, like that I'm, and wags her finger at me, and the woman who was screaming at me who screamed at me on the street the other day, to like, that I need to stay off the fucking road, like I shouldn't ride my bike in the road, and like
which is funny because it's the opposite of what you're supposed to do.
But it's like, it's like I can just feel the impulse in me to fight, to defend and fight back and prove to her, like, and say to her, all the things, like say, well, actually, or say, meh, or anything, just like, I'm just gonna hold this for myself and feel. I just like felt the terror in my body. Like I was like, it was the look on her. I mean, it was the energy that was coming toward me, and the look on her face. I was like, it really scared me. It took me like at least 45 minutes, if not, longer to like, and I was doing all the things of jumping up and down and shaking and like, and like consciously trying to move the energy out of myself and just like get over it. Because part of the energy was being mad at her and going over the different scenarios in my brain and stuff. And anyway, I don't want to live like that. I want to just be like, be able to be like, hi, and I was fantasizing that she would come into the restaurant and I would get to love her. Like I would get to say, she wouldn't recognize me or whatever. All of a sudden I would get to like meet her on a more human level where I wasn't, where I didn't do something that whatever, that caused her that response, that reaction, and where maybe, so I would get to feel her in a different way,
right.
and she would feel me in a different way, and then maybe it would be like, oh, we are humans, and so I was so softened. I'm still kind of amazed, like the thing with Nicolas Cage, because I know for me, when I'm noticing something like that, it is happening everywhere. Probably, question mark, in my life. It's happening in so many different places.
Happening a lot.
In so many different ways. And so, yay, I want to see it. I'm saying, like, it's like a sending up of a flare prayer, up just being like, pew, like I'm open. I'd like to know more about this. I'd like to see where else this is going. This is happening because I really want to be here. I really want to be here with people as I am and as they are. And I want to allow that to change.
So extraordinary, because then there's so much potential for enrichment for everybody.
Yeah.
When we're not projecting on them.
And it's so much it's like so much time is wasted, is the thing. It's like so much time is, it's just like, or there's just so much joy that's missed, and I know it's cheesy to say that, but I really feel
but
it.
It's
like
so
I really
true.
feel
I don't
it.
think it's cheesy. Like the way you're sitting here right now doesn't feel cheesy to me at all. Because I recognize.
I just feel it. Like I am that. I'm
right.
like so the embodiment of this, and I'm so like. Someone said to me one, I can't remember, and I was like, I want you to know it's real. Like I want, and they were like, no, I can feel it's real, but.
Well, when you say cheesy, like what came up for me is like, I think it's cheesy because there's like a romanticized version of it.
Yeah.
But there's also, because there's so much negative and all this horror and trauma in the world, but it is also really true. Like there is a way that there is so much more possibility for love between all of us all of the time. And that's just true. And it is actually accessible. Like there are ways to access it, you know, and it's like, that's where I am right now. And it just, I don't know, I feel really, it's such grace to be able to be in such a place.
Yeah.
And it's painful that it's not, there's not more of it. Like, I think I want to talk about the example of like Wake and his friends and their loss of the
I was
ultimate,
thinking that. Yeah.
So Wake is graduating on Tuesday from high school. And he's been playing Ultimate High School on the high school team for 3 years. And the first year he was on, I think 3, maybe 4 freshmen. So what I remember for sure distinctly is sophomore year when he was on the team, they lost in like the second round of the playoffs to CVU, the high school down over in Shelburne. And then last year, led mainly by juniors, like most of they, with a couple of seniors, they won the state championship, like the Vermont state championship. And then they were coming. What?
I'm crying. I'm like.
Yeah. And so then this year they almost were entirely the same team, except for like 2 or 3 or 4 seniors who had played. And they were better. And they were kind of like the New York Knicks are. They were just like loving each other and trusting each other and flowing and all of this. And it was all like trying not to and blowing teams away, and even going to the PVI tournament in Massachusetts against like all the best teams in New England and winning
all but one.
5 of 6 games and losing one by 1 point, including against Brooklyn Tech, which is one of the biggest schools in the country. And just so good, and coached by these 2 wonderful guys. I want to shout out Cam and Nolan. And they were not just really good, they were loving each other. Like, they were so together. And so they played on Friday, and it was sort of not, I wasn't like presuming they were going to win the championship, but it was like, you know, they probably will. And they lost on Friday. They got eliminated from the playoffs on Friday. And it was, and for some of the players, it was fucking, it was devastating. I mean, these boys who I love, who've grown up with Wake, I've known some of them since they were like 8 or 9 or 10, and they're just like in tears, partially because they had so much passion for what they were doing. And it was also sort of this trauma shock of like, we weren't supposed to lose. This wasn't supposed to happen.
I mean, they don't have, as I said, they had no practice losing,
right,
honestly.
Right. Right, from the last 2 years. And so what was heartening to me about, like, what was tender and touching to me about it was that there was this, like, this pall over everybody was just devastated. And some of them were, like, crying so intensely, in so much pain. And then I experienced a bunch of them came over to our house on Friday night because, you know, the Knicks were also playing, and here it was a few hours after this devastation, and they were just so not devastated. I mean, I think they were still in a lot of pain and shock, but they were talking about the game from this place of like this interconnectedness that they have with each other. That just, it was like I could feel that the loss didn't matter as much. This is my projection onto it, right? The loss didn't matter as much as their connection with each other. You know, and I just, that felt so profound to me, because that's kind of how also you move through trauma. You're not alone in the devastation of it. And now it's pain. Now it's pain and loss and disbelief. I mean, they're all going to have their grief cycle around it, the bargaining, the like what we could have done differently, like all in hindsight, X, Y, or Z, you know, but also like the loss. It's like high school's ended. Like these guys have been so tight, and they're all fucking going to different schools for the most part. I mean, they're really spreading their wings. From California to Montana to the Northeast to Wake, going to fucking New York City. You know, it's like, and so. There's
the word that really I feel like I've gone to more games, like seen more games this year than gone to more games than any other year. Like I just feel like and I just love these boys so much, and like the word that is like just radiates for me is like honorable, is like they honor one another in the way that they play, whether they're playing or on the side, whether they're not playing at the moment on the field, they're you know, and when they're on the field, they honor other teams. I mean, which that's kind of
ultimate
in
culture.
the sport, in the sport. But it's so like I wish y'all could see it, you know, because it's so like palpable, and I had never experienced anything like that. You know, maybe it's around more than I know, but when we were at that tournament, the weekend tournament, I was like, I mean, everybody except for one team, that in my experience, which, and it wasn't the team, it was more the coach who was like the screaming coach and stuff. But the kids were actually really sweet, but the coach and the kind of their way that they played felt really shitty to me. Like,
it was also very aggressive. They were setting all these picks, which are really not
Yeah.
supposed to set. That
Yeah, it just was
like potentially dangerous too, and they were the team that we lost to by
yeah,
one.
and it just like really sucked.
Yeah.
And then at one point, yeah. Anyway, so then I saw the kids after, and I was like, oh, because I was kind of projecting onto the players, and the players were like coached by this coach who was, you know,
authoritarian.
Anyway, it was just really, that's not my point. But my point is like they're so special together. Like there's real, it's like you can tell they like elevate, you know, their connections and the coaches like Cam and Nolan, and like they're these kids and how they've grown and how they've then this year like looped, you know, the players who just came on but who were seniors like like brought them in, and they've been amazing players their first year of playing, and they were incredible, and just like the love is just like so remarkable. And that was like at the end when people just collapsed on the field and some of them were sobbing, you know, and Wake went over and like was, you know, was like comforting them and just or whatever, you know, he was just like being with them as it was just like so gut wrenching and beautiful, like so beautiful, and they're just so great, and I just like I can feel now that everything's all sort of coming to an end, and I'm also like going through a huge life transition and gonna move and like having to pack all my stuff and like Wake stuff, you know, and also he's going to college, and you know, and just like all this stuff, I'm just like finally starting to feel like my own pain, you know, and in some way of like this transition of like it's so it's all beautiful, you know, and I'm gonna miss all these boys, like, and of course Wake. It's like as I was walking early this morning, I was like, one of the things that feels so challenging about being a parent is, for me, I guess, is like that, you know, that Wake has to, like, knowing that he has to make his own mistakes, you know, and go through like all these hard things, like not by himself, but like I have to let him do it. He has to go through that he's going to go through. Like he just had, you know, his first big heartbreak, you know, not his first, but his, you know, this really significant one. And it's like, I'm just like, wow, check me out and how uncomfortable I am, you know? So like, I really am so grateful to have the dreams. And this is like what we used to talk about in our old podcast when we had a podcast about parenting or co-parenting. And it's like, I'm so grateful to be able to notice that inside myself and fucking rein that shit in. Cause like, not that I've always been able to rein it in, you know, but just be like, wow, I'm so uncomfortable. You know, I want to do something to make him feel better, you know, so this doesn't have to hurt as bad or whatever. Right. And like, so it's like for me, finding a balance of staying inside myself and just also checking in with him, you know, so I don't project like, oh my God, he's right. You know, like, just be like, hey, like, how's it, like, how you doing with that? Or like yesterday when I was like, how, like, I'm moving and like, I'm not sure what size the apartment is. Right. You may not have that's meant for me, that is waiting for me right now to find, you know, and be in the arms of this loving place, to live. But I don't, you know, I don't know. And like to feel how much grief I have because I want him to have a room of his own wherever I'm living, even though he's going to college. Maybe that's fucked up and I'm hanging on. I don't know, but I don't care. And that's not the point for me right now, because it's going to, you know, the answer is going to self in the next potentially week, you know, as I'm finding a place. So, but I get to feel my own grief, you know, and then I also got to have a conversation with him where he you know, got to say like I'm fine with it. You know, I'm really fine with it. I
Right.
don't, you know, I'm
Yeah.
and I could feel how that was true. You know, and I was like, okay, like that's I just wanted to be explicit and just yeah. So that was really good. And now I'm not hanging on to that. I don't have that's a thing I don't have to project upon that part of
Right.
it, you know. Yeah.
Ah.
Oh golly.
Ah.
So much. It's like such a big
Time.
yeah.
When we meet next Friday, Wake will have graduated from high school. I mean, when we are all together, all of us, on next Sunday for Orchids at the Fairies, Wake will have graduated from fucking high school, man, and we did a pretty fucking remarkable job getting him here. So, despite our own trauma and our own suffering and our own, you know, the level of integrity that I think both of you and I have had to like continue to work through, fight through really dark times and be there. You know, I know for me, so much of it was like needing to show up for Wake.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
You know, thank God. So we did, and he's good.
Yeah. He's such a
Yeah.
an amazing human
Yeah,
being.
just that like our house was the hub for the boys to come to. Like just felt Wake offers this love,
Yeah.
you know, to them.
Yeah.
Not in a way that even takes anything away from himself, but it's just this genuine way. Though, you know, I could be like, I want to hang out with Wake, in light of devastation. Not that he doesn't have to carry anything with it too. I don't think. I mean, I know he does to some degree, but all right, I have to get ready for my session.
Yay!
I have to look through my dreams and make sure that I've included all that may be helpful for me and my therapist to open things up to where the dreams want me to continue to heal. I'm staring into Ananobi's brown eyes.
Oh, and speaking of Ananobi, he probably needs to go outside before you gotta go into him.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
this
everybody.
was a doozy.
Woozy. Bye.
Bye.